Let's turn this beautiful sheet of birch plywood into some awesome custom cabinets today on Salty Woodworking. I feel like this project has taken so much longer than I ever imagined it was going to. Actually, let's play a game throughout this video. Count the amount of outfits that I've worn. This was by far the longest part of this project. I am by no means a professional cabinet maker, but I know just enough to build some pretty simple cabinets. So it's time to get out the track saw and cut this beautiful birch plywood down to size. This little attachment you see me using here is by far the best like $30 I've spent on Amazon. They have a lot more expensive options, of course, that you can get, but this one was $30 on Amazon and holds your track perfectly 90 degrees. Check in the description. I'm going to go ahead and put a link down there for that piece. So I'm making some pretty simple cabinets. They're about 30.5 inches tall, 30 inches wide, and I'm making them about 20 inches deep. I'm using my track saw here to go ahead and cut these pieces of birch down to their final size. It's just a lot easier to manage than trying to cut this down on the table saw by yourself. These cabinets will not have a back to them, so I'm going ahead and taking the extra pieces of this plywood that I had ripped down and rip it down to about 3 inches wide, and I'm going to use that for runners for the top and the back just to make sure it holds everything square. Now we have all of our pieces cut to make up both cabinets, and it's time to start assembly. I'll be using my Craig Pro 720 pocket hole jig to go ahead and get started. Not sponsored by them at all. I just absolutely love this jig by them. It makes drilling pocket holes just absolutely seamless. I made sure to drill the pocket holes on sides that you won't see, that'll either be hidden by the top or the bottom. This has always been the hardest part for me, is starting to put the cabinets together by yourself. It's just a little awkward to try to hold everything in place. But usually once you get 1 or 2 screws in there, it gets a whole lot easier to hold everything together. Lucky me, I got this thing square on the first try. I made some 2x4 toe kicks off camera, and in order to get them to fit, I needed to go ahead and cut out the existing baseboard to get them to fit in place. I feel like the multi-tool is just like the best tool to use for this. Super easy to cut. Then you just run your razor blade and then you can pop the baseboard straight off. Once I had the toe kicks in, I went ahead and brought the carcasses for the cabinets upstairs. Just since I'm doing this in the built-in, it's going to make it a whole lot easier to build most of it in place. So it's time to get started on the face frame for these cabinets. I bought some 1x6 pieces of poplar from my local lumber yard, and for the most part they're pretty square from the yard. I just rather go ahead and dimension them down myself just to make sure they're all nice and square. Once I had these pieces of poplar dimensioned, I took them over to the table saw and cut out 1.5 inch strips, which I'm going to use to make the whole face frame. Once I had them ripped down on the table saw, I took them to the miter saw and cut them down to size. And to attach them, I'm just using wood glue and some simple 18 gauge brad nails. I would like this face frame to look as seamless as possible, so I'm using some good old wood filler just to go ahead and fill in the gaps in all the nail holes, and once that dries later on, I'm going to sand it down. Now that the face frame is done, it's time to go ahead and get started on these doors. I'm using that same poplar that I mentioned down earlier to make up my stiles and rails, which I'm ripping down to about 2.5 inches. I'm using this setup block to set the blade height to roughly 3/8 of an inch. This is going to allow me to put a slot within my stiles and rails for a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. I run all my pieces down one way and then I flip them over, and after some trial and error, figure out what the perfect size is to fit on this 1/4 inch piece of plywood without it being too snug. Once I get that groove dialed in, we're going to move over to the crosscut sled and go ahead and cut out the tongue to fit perfectly in that groove. It came out a bit of a tight fit, but I ended up taking a chisel and just shaving off a hair just to make them fit in a little bit more smooth. Now I'm going to go ahead and bust out the track saw again, and I'm going to cut the inside panels out of some of this 1/4 inch plywood. Now that I have all the pieces for the doors cut, it's time for assembly. This part can be a little bit tricky, but as long as you did your math right, it'll usually go together pretty smoothly. I'm using a whole bunch of wood glue here because I don't want these doors to move at all. The gaps on these things weren't completely perfect, but later on I'm going to fill them in with wood filler anyway, so it's a seamless look. But for the meantime, we're going to go ahead and clamp these things up and let them sit overnight. Now these doors had 24 hours to sit, so the glue is completely cured on them, and these doors are strong and they're not going nowhere. It's time to bust out the wood filler again. We're going to go ahead and fill in all the seams on these doors, just so once it's painted, it looks like one solid piece. I let the wood filler dry for about an hour or two, and then I went ahead and took them over to the drum sander. This here is most definitely a luxury tool, but can save you so much time. So this way I went ahead and flattened the doors completely and got all those joints cleaned up. After the drum sander, I went ahead and took out the orbital sander with some 80 grit to start getting out at the drum sander lines. And then after that, I went up to 120, so then we're ready for paint. I promise I'm not sponsored by Craig. I just like their products. But this is another one of their jigs for cabinet hinges. It's so easy. You just clamp it on, drill your holes, and then you're ready to go for your cabinet hinge. I'm using 1/2 inch overlay door hinges for this project. These are just some cheap hinges I got off of Amazon. They're cheap, but they work great. I'll tell you a bit of a secret here. On the video, it looks like these cabinet doors go on perfectly fine with no issue. I actually made them about a 1/2 inch too wide, so I had to take them off, go back downstairs, and cut a 1/2 inch off of them. This was another part of the project I made a mistake. I'm putting on some Kills primer here using a normal bristle brush. I later on found out it's a terrible mistake because it dries so fast, it just left a lot of texture. I ended up taking them back downstairs and then using a random orbital with a 320 disc on it and just sanding them down as much as I could and repainting them. Learning from my mistakes for the actual cabinet paint itself, I ended up using a foam roller and a foam brush to finish the paint off. And this came out beautiful once it was all said and done. While the paint's drying, we go ahead and start making the tops for these cabinets. I'm using 5/4 hard maple here. Reason being is most of the furniture we have in our house has a maple top on it, so I just want to keep up with that theme. Just like the poplar, for the most part, this hard maple was pretty well square. I just prefer to mill it down myself so I can make sure that everything is nice and flat and I get solid joints throughout the entire top. Now that all the boards are dimensioned, I'm gonna go ahead and start sorting them out on how I want the top to look. Once I get them sorted, it's time for the fun part of gluing these puppies up. While waiting for the glue to dry overnight, I started making a template to get these tops to fit in here. I just grabbed some scrap wood I had laying around the shop in this little washer, and I'm going to use that washer to scribe. I seen this trick one time on TikTok like months ago, and ever since then it's stuck with me, and I use it every chance I get just because it's so easy. Once I got the lines scribed in, I went ahead and took these boards back downstairs and used my spindle sander to go just up to the line to get it a nice solid fit. After that, I just used some of these scrap boards I had laying around to tie in these two pieces of plywood together with some brad nails. It took me a while to figure out how I was going to get a template for this top, but this worked out better than I could have ever imagined it was going to. So I was able to take this template, go over to the top, mark the lines, and then cut it out with the track saw. By the way, if you are in the market for a track saw, I highly recommend this Milwaukee one. I know it's more of the higher end price tag, but I've had no issues with it and it cuts through this maple in one pass like it's nothing. This thing is an absolute power horse. If you enjoy watching these projects I make and you decide you want to show me a little bit more support, I do have a Patreon, which I will link down in the description. You can go ahead and click the link and read all the perks that it has. If not, if you can at least leave a like, a comment, subscribe, whatever to the channel, that helps out more than anything. It pushes the channel to a newer audience and helps me build out this community. It's time to move on to everybody's favorite part and sanding these tops down and getting them ready for finish. I started with 80 grit because I also ran these through the drum sander and it took a long time to get these drum sander lines out, but at the end of the day, it wound up so smooth. I'm using a 45-degree chamfer bit to chamfer the bottom of these tops, and then on the top side, I go ahead and use a 1/8 round over bit just to knock off the edge and make it not so sharp. Once I got the profile that I wanted done, I went ahead and moved over to 120 for the sanding. Reason being, I will be using Rubio Monocoat for the finish, and they only recommend to go up to 120 grit. Once I get done with sanding, I take some mineral spirits and wipe down the tops. This gets all the sawdust out of the pores and just gives the finish a better adhesion. It also gives you a sneak peek at the final product. Now that the boards are prepped, I'm going to use these little paint triangles and set the boards up so I can start the finish process. Like I said before, I'll be using Rubio Monaco to go ahead and finish off these tops. This is their pure color, and it's, as usual, the simple 3-to-1 ratio. As you can see, I'm kind of eyeballing it here, but it still turned out great in the end. Once you mix your two parts, you just go ahead and stir them up real good, and then you're ready to apply your finish. For bigger flat projects, I like to use a DA polisher to apply the Rubio. I don't quite know if it's recommended or not, but I just feel like it's a bit easier, and I always seem to get a pretty even sheen throughout the entire surface whenever I use a polisher. I apply the finish on the bottoms first, so that's the good part of these little paint triangles. Now I can just flip it over and go straight to finishing the top. I let these tops sit for a full 24 hours so the finish can cure completely before installation. Installation of all these pieces brings part 3 of the built-in project to an end. If this is the first part of the project you've seen, go back to my playlist on my channel and watch the previous 2 parts to catch you up to speed. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to leave a comment on how many outfits you've seen me wear throughout this entire video. Also, pay attention to the reveal clips. You get to see a little bit of part 4. As always, stay salty and you'll have a great day.